Everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ken, and if you've been following along, we'll be getting more and more into UAVs, the kind of aircraft that is basically flown by electronic measures, that kind of stuff, by like no pilot involved. It's getting to become a very different war today, where there's no longer be troops on the ground. People got to get more into drones, more into unmanned vehicles, and it's going to be more of a war of nutrition, of like how much money, how much bang for your buck, and should you be bringing that cost down? We've seen it all over Ukraine right now, where Russia's been invading Ukraine and using a lot of unmanned aircraft in order to do drone strikes. So some of those could be from a couple, like let's say like $500,000, and then going up from there. But what if you were able to do the same, but make it on more of the cheaper end of things and be more effective than those drones over $1 million? So there's a company right now that's doing this, so let's take a look.
It's not often you meet a 21-year-old with his own autonomous drone weapons manufacturing facility, but this is Ethan Thornton, and right now he is rethinking the future of warfare with China top of mind.
It's not hard to look at China's dominance and realize that we need to be working very, very hard as a country if we want to maintain relevance.
While China has been putting on quite the show of military might, when it comes to scale, Thornton imagines a very different alternative than the high-tech, sophisticated U.S. arsenal that we're all used to.
One of your missions seems to be trying to imagine what warfare is going to look like, not in 10 years, but in 20 years. You're the 21, so that's literally a lifetime for you, and yet not too far down the road. How do you see the future of warfare in 20 years?
To me, what's most concerning is you can look at ultra large scale strike with very, very cheap assets. So if you can find a way to get very small, like $400 to $1,000 drones by the millions above populated areas.
Let me just try to visualize that. So millions of these very low cost drones descending over a populated area.
What you'll see it used for is taking out all of your cell phone towers, taking out all of your high voltage power transformers, taking out your cranes and ports, like essentially just stopping your industrial machine.
His company...
This guy is 21 years old. And I remember when I was 21, I was in Afghanistan for my 21st birthday. So this guy, like leaving a tech, like college, I think they say he's like going to IT or something like that. And coming up with this, like, how do you get the capital to start a business like this? I know that so many guys on this channel would love to have a garage and tinker around with munitions and being allowed to do that. But I can't really see this being allowed in Canada, basically, to have an entrepreneur start playing with weaponry like this. I don't know how he would get the funding for this. Like, it's a dream, if anything, that like to play with rounds, work with engineers, work with like architects within this kind of thing, flight patterns, all that kind of stuff. It's just like a huge playing ground, but I don't. It's wild to me. This guy is so young, so he must come from some sort of wealth for sure.
Mach Industries received a Pentagon development contract and has already raised hundreds of millions of dollars to think outside the military-industrial box. And that means churning out as many cheap, deadly drones as possible. The kinds of systems that have transformed the modern battlefield in places like Ukraine. But before drones ruled the skies, Thornton remembers watching the opening moments of the invasion in high school and realizing warfare was about to change forever.
You have very, very legacy assets, a convoy of tanks all rolling basically single file. And now there's this class of weapons that you can use to pretty much immobilize those things immediately.
But when it comes to manufacturing drones, there is no country that comes close to China, currently able to build hundreds of thousands of drones every month.
If we're making a quadcopter and China's making the same quadcopter, we'll lose that fight 10 times out of 10.
For him, if Chinese manufacturing is their greatest advantage, it should be the biggest target. And his focus has been finding ways to try and quickly flood adversarial skies with cheap autonomous weapons.
It's a high-altitude dropped, long-range glide bomb.
He calls this project Glide.
With one glide, you could take that factory out of operation for 3 to 6 months. So let's say you're taking 3 million quadcopters out of the fight with one glide. And that's really the asymmetric offset you're looking to provide.
The specific details of Glide are still secret, but Thornton did show us prototypes of Viper.
You and I could go and set up hundreds of these things in a parking lot somewhere.
Think portable Hellfire missiles, but with more payload that can both take off and land if needed.
It'll come in essentially a plastic case. That case will open up and become the launch stand.
And one of the highest flying ideas being workshopped at Mach, Stratus, built around an old and inexpensive kind of tech, balloons.
I think in future conflicts, we'll see hundreds of thousands all the way up to like tens of millions.
Tens of millions of balloons.
Some will be carrying sensors, some will be carrying communications, some will be carrying like decoys to get you to waste your air defenses.
So saying, hey, yeah, come shoot these down. It's going to cost you a pretty penny to get up here.
Exactly.
I would have called it swarm, basically. That would have been my go-to for a name. So, patent pending. But you can imagine, like, when you're being swarmed by that many arsenals coming at you at the same time, like, it becomes quite difficult to shoot that down. But as a counter company, in my opinion, would be how do you get rid of this from happening? So, like, if you're being attacked with a swarm of unpiloted drones, or I guess they are piloted, but like a swarm of drones, how can you countermeasure that? So I think that's going to be another big company asset down the road. Either that's by like screwing up the electronics, or like maybe like blocking signals, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more, I think, tech down the road on how to get rid of these things if they are coming. I know we already have the Iron Dome right now in Israel, and we're basically doing a better version of that. I know the U.S. the Golden Dome, and then Canada's partnering with that. So it's kind of the same concept, but they use like basically laser guided missiles to go after the heat signatures of that stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see what companies are going to be created, and then young entrepreneurs like this guy are going to be doing like both sides. So it's kind of like a scary thing to have that many things flying through the air, but it's wild, absolutely wild, but lots of opportunity for sure.
Mach Industries is just one of a whole new field of defense startups hoping to transform the defense industry. For over half a century, companies like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Raytheon have made up the backbone of next-gen U.S. air defense and missile capability. But today, Mach and disruptors like Anduril are focusing all their efforts on laying the groundwork to mass-produce deadly autonomous systems from land, sea, and sky.
The way I see future defense looking is actually a lot more like the automotive industry, where every year you're essentially coming out with new models. These things are being refreshed on a 6-month to year-long cadence as warfare changes. And then your timelines for development are months instead of decades, but hopefully even weeks.
He's hoping soon they'll have factories like this one spread out by the thousands.
Yeah, so I think a big thing for us is decentralization, is designing products that you can make in very rudimentary, very small facilities. You don't want one factory that if you go to war gets taken out and you lose your industrial base.
Big plans for a new kind of mass production. And for the 21-year-old who dropped out of MIT to start building all this, the future is coming faster than we think.
It's going to be interesting to look at that too, but right now the Canadian economy is being hammered right now by Trump's tariffs, and we kind of deserve it because we kind of put ourselves too much reliance on the U.S. and we should be, and I said this for years, be more reliant on ourselves. But if we're going to start closing these vehicle plants, how easy would it be to convert them into military assets and be more competitive on a global scale of selling munitions, things like this, especially drones and that kind of stuff. So that might be something to consider for a Canadian economy. Plus, also the added benefit to protect our land. We're the second biggest land mass in the world, and it's not protected as much as we think it is. Like a lot of it's very difficult terrain to get across, and stuff like this would be more than ideal to fly across or even go by boat. Maybe they can even create some sort of unmanned icebreaker, but I don't know. Could be some class, like some market for that, I think. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll start that up.
Very optimistic in the military doing the right things to procure the right systems. And so we're way behind right now as a country. That gap is widening every day, and it's kind of a make or break next couple of decades.
Well, guys, hopefully you like that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed now, it helps me immensely. It gets the content out there for everybody to see. Take a peek at it. Criticize it if you will. Leave a comment. Share with a friend. It's always like that. What are your thoughts about the new UAVs and all that kind of stuff? Is it going to be really bad for us down the road, or it's going to actually help us and make us more united and be able to look after things on the world scale a lot faster? Or could it be used for evil? I don't know. Let's see what you guys find out. So let's have that conversation. See you guys on the next one.